where we bring on a panel of FPF media personalities, and we're going to be discussing a range of topics. Could be from time to time we talk about top 10 lists, best quarterbacks. Perhaps sometimes we talk about, like this week we're doing preseason breakdowns and predictions, a whole bunch of things that don't make any sense and things I generally hate discussing. So Robert Campana figured I'd be the perfect host for this show. I am joined in studio this week by Terry Tam. You can follow him, of course, at Terry Tam FPF. We can follow the co-host next to him, Simon Dagenet, at Dagenet FPF. And of course, we are joined with producer Chapman, Antonio Dorisa.
That was tough. Real name, government name.
Chapman. It is a government name.
Chapman.
And he can be found anywhere there's food. So true. the thing is with Chapman, actually, your role has been increased this season. You're actually producing all the shows. You're going to be doing cut-ups and promos for all the shows. So and as well as 2 or 3 minute clips that for people who miss the podcasts, they'll be able to follow along in some of the more interesting, intense, and more ridiculous conversations that we'll have.
Like the goal that I dropped.
Yeah, that's the one. So, gentlemen,
Sure,
we'll start off by a very heavy football-laden conversation about Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
The company's ad featured an upskirt picture of a model, and that was heavily criticized this week. Thoughts?
None.
None whatsoever.
Chapman, I figured you'd weigh in on this heavily.
No comment. Who was the model?
I don't know. I just saw her from up the skirt side.
You didn't recognize her?
Didn't get to recognize the face.
You were basically.
And this is controversial?
Apparently.
Underwear is controversial nowadays?
They are an underwear company, so it's bizarre.
Yeah, we discussed it.
But speaking of underwear and the general concept of nakedness, and being naked is fine in the showers and during intercourse, but not for playing flag football.
Nope.
So get your jerseys at Sportira. They are the official sponsors for Flag Plus Football and home of our podcast and of this show, the Sportira Cage.
So we're stealing. We're not talking about Nicolas Cage no more.
That's last season.
Okay.
Still living in the past.
It was fine.
Guys, let's talk about the top 5 and bottom 3 teams in each division. I'm curious about what you guys think. Who will be good? Who will sink to the bottom? It's kind of good because it puts pressure on the teams that we expect to be good, and it sort of challenges the teams that we expect to struggle. So I always say it, we're not always right about this stuff, and I love being wrong, especially about the teams that I expect to struggle, because it shows just how amazing and how unpredictable FPF truly is. As we proved last season with our Table of Terror, just picking random teams. We never, Terry picked Montreal's finest, and they lost that week.
And then I picked Gronky. No, they ended up losing too.
Yeah. So just to say, there's a high level of unpredictability in this league, and
we're not doing that again.
Largely do that.
Oh, why not?
No.
Not this one. Not this one.
On the spring. Okay, it's a winter thing.
It's a winter thing.
It's a later as possible thing.
So let's start. Actually, Chapman, let's get you to weigh in specifically on division. You've covered the division with me in past. Who do you think will be the top 5 teams and the bottom 3 teams?
So for the top 5 teams, I have Trinity, Rolling Thunder, which is a pretty good name, Super Troopers, the Jaggies, and then...
By Jaggies, you mean Jaggies and Chill?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit
I
about
don't know. I thought they misspelled J's at one point.
Nope, not J's.
Just added a G in there.
J's have one letter in their team name, so they didn't misspell the team name.
Now the Jays aren't playing out.
And there was another team that I was going to choose. It was I'll go with TDs and Beer.
TDs and Beer to be the top 5?
Yeah.
And the bottom 3?
Bottom 3, well, I'm going to go with Gronky Kong because they added Duke.
So
David De La Rocca, it's not an improvement. Les Uars and the Crusaders.
Well, Les Uars, they are the team, of course, that and famously gave up 70 points last season. So hopefully, dropping down in division will lead to some success. But you think they will struggle this season? Why is that, Chap?
There's nobody on their team called UR. It's a problem.
That's a problem. That is exactly why they're struggling.
They're Les Uars. They don't have URs.
What is a UR anyway? I'm looking at you.
It's a bird.
I thought it was a French name.
Oh, Baby Heward, right?
It's a type of bird.
It's a thing?
It's a big duck with a...
It's a stuff.
As far as I remember. Chapman, so you mentioned Jaggies and Chill. Why do you think they'll be a successful team in Division E?
They have a pretty good roster. They have some guys with a lot of experience on that team. There's not that a lot of teams have players that aren't rated, but these guys have a lot of veterans. There's Yannick Doston, Simon Duchesne, and Jean-Félix Dalloz. They're all guys that have played in the league before, and there's not like a lot of new guys, so you don't have to teach them the game at the same time. There's a lot of teams with brand new players, and they're going to probably struggle.
I remember the first time I covered Jägerbaum. A lot of these guys are from Jägerbaum, and I talked about Simon Deschênes, and I referred to him as Simon Deschesney.
I'll never forget that.
Speaking of Simons, Simon, tell us a little bit about Division B. Who do you think will be the top 5 teams and bottom 3 teams there?
All right, for top 5 team in Div B, I got Gladiators, Grip and Rip, Laval's Finest, Star City, and Incredibles. My bottom 3, I got Blue Chips, VPC, and the Fast and Furious, which is the
Same team.
yeah, and Fun Boys.
Fun Boys bottom 3.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to start, actually. So why do you rank Fun Boys in your bottom 3?
Well, because I needed a third team in my bottom 3, but I just don't see it this season. It looks a lot like the team that played in Div 3 that was good but struggled at the end of the season. They lost to one of their best players in Vince Nardone. They're moving up division, and I just don't see it happening for them this season. I feel like there's too many guys that's going to miss every now and then because it's summer, and it's going to hurt them in the long run.
So you're telling them what schedule they have?
Yeah. I'm telling them you have vacation, so please leave.
Yeah. No,
and
they're
miss
good.
2 games.
I tend to agree with that because you losing Vince Nardone, he was a key piece to your defense.
Yeah.
And I mean, they still have great athletes on the team. I mean, Phil Cutler, Liam Mahoney, these guys are...
They're not going to get blown out. This is just... I don't feel like they're going to be one of the top 5 teams.
So more of a frustrating type of season
That's it,
for...
Yeah, that's what I see.
So of the top 5 teams you mentioned, Simon, which team do you think will rise to top? Like, which team is far and above the best?
Well, I feel like everybody knows that GNR are going to be one of the best because they just
And
won
by GNR...
Grip and Rip.
Grip and
They
Rip.
just won Div 3. They added JD Chevalier and Steve Sander to their already stacked roster, so that's a given. But I see Star City being really good this season with Lazaro being quarterback for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they've added so many good receivers, and they might actually have a defense this time around. So
Which will help.
if Lazaro can have a defense behind him, they're probably going to win a lot.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. We'll see how that plays out. Terry, Division D is the division you're covering
Yes,
actually
sir.
in the podcast. So I
With
want
my
to
boy.
get your feedback on who you thought were going to be again. Top 5, bottom 3.
So
Who's on top and
who's
the
on
bottom?
top and who's on bottom? So my bottom 3, I'm going to go with
Bottom.
Only Zampèche, Magic City, and Temsa. That's their name.
All right, cool.
One
Temsa,
word, capital letters, Temsa.
So, but like, just to take it, you said Magic City.
Magic City is, I forgot they were called in Division 5B last year. They made it to the semifinals. Chinquino and those guys, I forgot their name. And they changed their name.
Mhm.
So it's Magic
But that's
Chinquino.
interesting though, because you're saying like this is a team that made the semifinals. Why do you think they'll struggle here?
Because you're going up. I think 5B was the lower class of Division 5, and you're going up. So you're playing against the bottom teams of Division 4 necessarily, and the top teams of Division 5A.
Yeah.
So I think that, and they didn't really add anybody spectacular to say that, okay, they're going to be able to go there. And they were just a team that relied on a system, you know, a lot like the 2.5 Dans were at the beginning when they made it to the Division D finals. And they relied on a system, and right now they haven't worked out the kinks. I don't think they have anyway. I just think that they'll be one of the teams to struggle. Matthew Chinquino's the second year playing quarterback. I don't think they played football ever before that. So it's going to be a big time learning curve, and they're going to be playing against some nasty teams this year.
The and interestingly, you mentioned it. Like, there's sometimes a false sense of security when you move up.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we were 9-1 or we were 8-2 or whatever
Yeah.
it was. But the thing is, you move up
Always.
into a higher division, not realizing, especially in the summer, that like there's less teams, and the teams that remain, it's a concentration of
Of
strength.
course,
in a
it's
sense.
real fly teams, like you said earlier.
Teams are
you
better.
I said that before the podcast.
Before the podcast.
So no one knows I said that.
No one knows. you said
Until
that.
just now.
So they're true flag teams. The only thing is that I like the fact that they went up and they didn't just go to Division E. I think they would have fit in Division E, and it would have been a step back for them because they would have been one of the top 3 teams in Division.
Regardless of the record, they're going to learn a lot. And
Of course, yeah.
improve.
I'm not knocking them for at all. I
Mhm.
mean, it's good on them for going up. There's a lot of teams that kind of they get scared of higher divisions.
Yeah. And speaking of higher divisions, the highest division, of course, in the spring is Division A. Simon, give us your opinions of. We can't go top 5 and bottom 3 because there's only 6 teams. But let's take a moment to reflect on the entire division, since there's only 6 teams, and these are really the teams that have the courage to compete in Division A. Let's reward them by talking about who will be the best top 3 and who will be the bottom 3.
All right, so my top 3, I got obviously All Black Everything and Finest, which is basically D-Boys and Finest that everybody knows about. And my third team, which might be controversial, is Rainmakers. They've added Rochdie and the Pinot Brothers. So I think that's going to push them up to... It's what they were missing before. So they might not actually find ways to lose this time around and actually win football games. And the bottom 3 teams I have are the remaining 3: Top Guns, Legends, and Monstars. As of right now, the Monstars roster is a bit weak because they only have 6 guys on registered for them, which is the core of Monstars. So if they could find guys to come around and help them out, they might actually be able to compete in Div 4A. At the moment, I'm really impressed. I like the way that they challenged themselves and moved up to Div A instead of sitting in Div B. But the roster as it is feels a bit weak to me. Same goes for Legends. When I look at Legends, it's an amazing Div B team, but it's a Div B team in Div A.
And what about, I mean, you mentioned sort of off air, and I'll make you have to talk about it here because it's interesting to me. You mentioned that you felt that for All Black Everything, it was actually a slightly weaker version of Roosters and Donkeys. Why is that?
They have less guys, so it's a smaller roster. They lost a few of the big names on the team. Jamil Springer is now playing for Top Guns. Jacques Voigt's not on the roster anymore. So big names that people know about, they're not playing for them. It might hurt them because some guys might miss. It might not. They might actually have all their guys every week, and it doesn't matter at the end. We'll just see how it plans out. And
Terry, actually, I forgot to get your top 5 teams from Division D. So, and because we like to point out our flaws, and rather just we won't transition seamlessly, I forgot.
So you want my top 5?
Yeah, why not?
My top 5 in Div D in no specific order are Longhorns, Zoo, Supply and Command, Get Off My D, and Frosty Bronsons.
Get Off My D is particularly interesting. A, that they were allowed to use that name, and B, why do you think? Why are you on their D?
Why am I on Get Off My D's D? Because they keep on telling me to get off it, and I don't like being told what to do.
Right? You can't tell me what to do. You're not my supervisor.
I just think that Jad, as you watch them, Jad Aridi, as you watch them towards the end of the season last year, he got so much better, and I think that.
But I think the addition of Rod Mashtab was like
as a receiver, of course, that helped him a lot, and the addition of Rod Mashtab on this team
once again.
And overall, I just think that Jad really learned that he can't throw a deep ball every play, and he has to use his feet, and a lot of quarterbacks don't really like using his feet, and he does it very well, and he's one of the better runners we have in this league with the ball. I think that Jad Aridi will take over this team completely. I'm looking at like maybe a 7-3 record because their defense is strong as well, and they're very organized on offense. And if you watch them compared to week 2 and compared to week 8, let's say, they were two completely different teams.
Chapman, I dread to ask you stuff all the time.
I dread it as well.
I'm making it worse by crushing your confidence before I ask. But talk to us a little bit about Division C. You're playing Division C this season, so obviously you've been paying close attention. Who do you think are Who do you think are the top 5 teams? Who do you think are the bottom 3? Please don't let me regret having Rob hire you.
You're gonna regret it,
man.
I'm surprised you haven't started regretting it yet.
Don't make me regret you adding us on our Div C team.
I want to talk about that. You just spoiled the surprise.
Sorry, man.
Anyways, so for the top 5, I have the Coyotes, No Fly Zone, La Sauce, Brocasian, and the team that I'm playing for that Terry roped me into is Stockton Slap.
Yeah,
So
buddy.
So you have yourself up there.
So you're saying you're the best.
High.
Classic
Yeah,
Chapman.
well, no, it's not because of me. It's because of Terry.
Yeah.
Brocasian has occasionally fallen apart in some seasons. Why do you think this is one of the seasons they'll be successful? I just did that for the pun.
For the pun, really?
Occasionally.
They're always better in spring than winter.
Thank you, Chapman.
They are always better.
Chapman.
I was going to go with they always have one season off, one season on, and they were off last season, so they must be on this season.
They weren't that off.
Just because they're going to choke in the playoffs.
So
there's
no actual information being given. We have the
they
better in spring. We have one season almost.
Okay, they added John.
Like, it's not the playoffs yet.
Science.
They had John Louis on top of their already good roster.
They did add
so
John
they had
Louis,
speed to a roster that was physical but not that fast. They added one.
John Lewis is exceptionally fast.
He's surprising to watch. So
especially since he's such a
he's
slow scorekeeper.
He's played with Brocasian before too. So
yeah, it's not
he's not like a brand new face in the team too.
For sure. Let's take a look at which teams. Because you've already talked about some of the additions that have been made. So let's talk about who you guys think have been some key additions to teams and who have been some big losses. So we'll start with you, Simo.
There's some big key additions in Div C. Keyport Lock added Ryan Aridi. I think that's huge for them. They actually have like a very good rusher speed on offense. No Big Deal, which is a sort of mashup between Recipe for Disaster and the U.
Yeah.
Added Jordan McLaren, which is
Huge.
unbelievable.
Huge.
I'm not sure how that fits in the roster, but hey, listen, if it fits, go for it. Who else? Legends added James Floriani as a receiver, which also could be a backup quarterback if Corey Pecker misses, because last season that was a problem with Legends in the spring.
Yeah. I mean, all the love to Jeff Rosenblatt, but he can't be throwing in Division A.
No, exactly.
No, absolutely not.
So that kind of helps them in the way that they have a backup now. Who else? The Rainmakers added the Pilons we mentioned earlier. Pilons and Rashi.
I think Rashti's the biggest addition. Like, Pilons are awesome, but after you showed me the roster, Rashti's, like, we were talking about how their defense has always been a little weak, and Rashti is going to control that defense completely.
Is Rushdie a bigger addition for Rainmakers or a bigger loss for
The
Montreal's
Dans,
finest,
the finest,
Ace
sorry.
finest?
I think he's a bigger addition for the Rainmakers.
I agree.
Because the finest have that. They've always been good no matter with or without Rashti. They've made finals without him. They made finals with him. The Rainmakers with Rashti, I think, changes their entire outlook on how they're gonna work against tough offenses like All Black Everything, Top Guns, and Montreal's finest.
And Terry, do you have any others that you can add to the list?
Yeah, so no fly zone for me. I mean, I didn't put them in my top 10. After looking at the roster, I was like, damn, how the hell did they add everybody on this roster? So adding Humes, adding Vinny Gualano, I mean, it's huge for them. There's two guys that are really Vinny Gualano.
The one.
They're
Humes is a quarterback.
Humes is playing quarterback. See, the reason why I didn't put them in there, and it's no knocking against them. I just didn't think that the Gators. I thought they would just be the Gators with Kevin St. Pierre, obviously rushing for the no-fly zone this year instead. I thought Corey Owasi was going to go to Division C, and I didn't think that he's good enough for Division C, so I kind of left them off the outside looking into the top 10. But after looking at the roster,
from Division 5 to
Yeah,
from
it's a big
5A to C is a big jump.
it's a big jump. And after looking at the roster, I realized, man, this team is really stacked. Also, Jagerbaum adding Mendy Cardishaw. I know he played with them a little bit.
They also had the Cendric Knuckle playing with them in the winter, so they know they need to add a piece essentially. So.
And
Smart on them.
We had spoke about it earlier too in Division A. Top Guns adding both Lannies. I mean, they're good players. They're not as good as the other Lanny, Antonio Lanny, but they added Gio and Leo Lanny on that team. I think that'll take a little pressure off of Paul LaPierre, knowing that he doesn't have to score on every play. You know that their defense will be dominant enough to hold some teams down.
Chavin, anything to add?
Nope. I just got
Awesome.
roped into this.
Awesome.
Nope.
The reason.
Hey, GM.
I mean, again, and we're gonna unveil the curtain a little bit behind the show. Chapman actually is just called in to fill in. Jim Calethris was supposed to be on the show tonight, so he'll
flag league.
he'll
Schrader.
yeah, exactly. He's the reason it's a co-ed league. But so he will likely have GM on next week to talk. Or no, not next week. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about when then the show will reappear. But next time we're on, we'll have some different guests as well. So, guys, another thing I like to talk about at this time of year, we haven't yet to see the awesome new jerseys, either supplied by Sportera or otherwise. But we'll see that at week 2. At this point, it was kind of fun is to see the new team names and how teams have changed their names. So let's look at some of the cool new team names. Tell me what you guys think. Anything decent, anything terrible. We have Roosters and Donkeys surprisingly changing to All Black Everything.
Well,
I think it's a huge downgrade, man.
Yeah, because Roosters and Donkeys by far
That was a great name.
one of the best hidden gems in FPF.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, hidden gems for sure.
What about Jaggies and Chill? Let's say the Jaeger Bomb lower division team, the farm team, so to speak.
I like it. I like it.
the
It's
idea
pretty
behind
funny.
it.
I thought it was the Jaguars, and they just made kind of a joke out of it. But then when you look at the
Nope.
roster, you see it's the Jaeger Bomb.
Yeah.
Nope.
Is
You
it
were wrong.
so? Is it maybe it's a soft J? Is it Yaggies? Because
It's
it's not
like
Jaeger,
jogging.
like it's not Jaeger Bomb. It's Jaeger Bomb. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe,
So maybe it's a
and Chill.
Yaggies and Chill.
But they're also French, so
Jaggies and Chill so much
Jaggies
better.
and Chill. So much better. It rolls off the tongue.
It does though.
There's MVE and C,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Google MV.
Yeah.
MVE.
There's
Chapman's Google.
Damn straight.
you should know of anyone at this table.
Yeah,
by
if
the
anybody
way.
at the table, you should know.
There's
Because he's had
Stockton Slap also.
Stockton Slab is a good
Gary's
name.
team.
That's my team name. Yeah.
What is Stockton Slab? For the people
So
who don't know?
me and Brent are big UFC fans, and the Diaz brothers, in the middle of the ring, whenever they're fighting, they like to slap people in the face. And because they're from Stockton, they call it the Stockton Slap. So me and Brent are gonna get a lot of penalties. We have a celebration going on.
So you're gonna slap us in the face?
No.
I'm happy we're not playing.
No.
Yeah, I don't like getting slapped.
No, I don't be slapping anybody.
In a
Just don't
fight
get in my
game,
face. Son. Brunch buddies.
Awesome. by the way.
we have friends in low places.
That's a good name too.
Formerly
thought that
wax
was-
on, wax off.
I thought that was us initially. I thought it was our D team.
They
No.
told me their name. They're like, I'm like, what is your team name? They're like, go Friends in Low Places. I go, why don't you call it High Friends in Places? It would have been so much better. Like, frig, man, I should have called it that. They were pissed off.
Or perhaps high and go seek.
High Friends in Places for them fits perfectly.
Raiders become Red Raiders, and this is particularly interesting because the departure of Leon Holder from the Raiders team.
Well, you also know the reason why. It's because
Yes, let's air it. Again, this is the show where we air stuff.
because they're
We have no social filters.
they're
so-
sponsored by their company and they asked to be called Red Raiders because they're in the company
Are we?
Oh, the name of the company is Red Raider.
or Red
Ram.
something else. So they needed to have the red to sponsor. the
Cool, man.
company.
And Leon Holder actually did leave to start a team called Casket Closers.
That's
Also
a good name.
Kind of cool.
It should have been the
like
I'm
Leon's,
more afraid
Leon's
of them now.
casket holders.
Nice.
No?
Man, that's better.
You're so good at this.
And we see No Regard returning, and former No Regard quarterback started his own Division B team, Alex Hollowak, in Ambassadors of Kwan. Jerry Maguire reference
Hashtag.
for anyone who's watching TV back in the 90s.
Yeah, Ambassadors of Kwan. You're my Ambassador of Kwan, my friend.
And so that brings us to the final segment of the show. So I want to put this out there. I want to let people Google
Google it.
the face of JD Jolly. Or
It's on the
use
Facebook
Google.
wall.
It's on the Facebook wall. It's on the Flight Plus Football website. Give us some hits. So this is where we do the looks like game. And usually I've angered a lot of people in the past doing it, so I figured it's a good idea to continue doing
Yeah,
it.
but no one likes him anyways.
It's amazing.
So it's fun.
It's fun for us. So essentially, we put up a dude, and we've actually got some feedback from players as well to see who they look like, who they think JD Jolly looks like. So I want to get your input as to who he looks like. Then I'll read some of the feedback we get,
Oh,
as
you got
well
some?
as the ones I've got as well.
Obviously.
So, well, you know what? Let's.
I know it's very FPs to say, "Oh, I got feedback," and just make up stuff. But actually, in this
No, we
case,
do a
I
lot,
expect him
quite
to
a bit
get
actually. I'm going to start with the example I left on the Facebook wall.
That was a nice
JD Jolly looks like the guy you rent a fishing boat from and warns you sternly and overzealously about the dangers of careless boating.
For me, JD Jolly looks like the guy that when you go to fill up your gas tank with your girlfriend, he's there and he's like somewhat good looking enough to steal your girlfriend, but he's like, nah, man, I kind of like you because you tip me toonie, so you can keep your girlfriend. That's the type of guy.
I can see it.
To me, JD Jolly looks like a real estate broker that sold you a crooked house, knows it, smiles at you, wait for you to sign the paper, and then he tells you, have a good day.
By the way,
No,
your
no,
house
doesn't tell you
your
ever.
house is on a 45-degree angle.
By the way, you just got.
You just got JD.
You just got jollied.
You just got Jolly.
You just got JD.
Uh,
The fact is, he's going to use that sentence from now on. You know that,
He in fact says that he is actually the face of the Snatchers logo.
It's
For anyone
not
who's
really
decent.
true because your brother made it, and
He used JD as a.
your brother made the logo, and then like I think 5 weeks in, we had a sub that comes in and looks at our jerseys like, "Why is JD's face on the jersey?" Everton.
Alex Gutierrez says, regular day, but when night falls, he is our silent guardian, a watchful protector. Yes, you know where this is going. He is the Dark Knight.
Ah.
Because he has more of a cleft chin,
That chin.
than Ben Affleck.
He
That
also
chin.
looks like Dayman, fighter of the night man.
Yeah,
If anybody
absolutely.
gets that reference. So.
Yeah, I got it.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Appreciate
Chapman
it.
and
Well done,
input
Charlie
here.
Day.
It's always sunny.
Chapman and the input here. I'm just gonna say-
We got more feedback from Sean Steen, who says he looks like the monkey from Kim Possible. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's pretty.
I got a couple more here. I got JD Jolly looks like the guy who fakes an injury at the ski lodge so he can wear wicked sweater vests, drink hot chocolate, and hit on all female passersby.
I'm 100% sure he does that.
That's what I'm saying.
Guaranteed.
He has to do that.
Because he actually fakes injuries in flag games.
Yeah.
Because he plays.
We know why
he's
though.
played
Because
together for a
he
long
goes
time.
to the Catalonia bar, orders a hot chocolate, and then hits on any girls while wearing a sweater vest.
I'm not even.
While collecting his toonies.
I feel like the guy who wrote that knows JD
Right?
Jolly. Like,
That was me, by the way. And my last one is JD Jolly looks like the guy at Starbucks who purposely misspells your name.
So everybody at Starbucks.
Yeah, he's generic Starbucks guy number
One
7.
time I spelled my name and you got it wrong.
Terry.
I'm like, maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Oh, stop.
Terry Tirry.
Honestly, right Terry.
Terry, any final thoughts?
No, just have a good season, and I don't want to see any ugly jerseys out there. So get them nice and sweaty from Sportira. Also,
Nice and
Rob put a post on today's on Facebook wall for the new place, Stad Superdome.
Yeah, that was my final thought.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I won't even take it. Here, take it.
I take it. I won't give
so
back.
many of them.
Took so many. Simon, final thoughts.
Have a good season. I would say if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to just ask around. Like either other players that have been around, like FPF veterans, scorekeepers around the league. If you guys have questions, don't be shy to just go ask instead of look around and look like you're lost or something. Just ask questions. We're all friendly. It's a nice league to be in. I don't think anybody's mean enough to tell you to go shove it up.
Anyone other
Except
than me?
Peace. don't talk to him anymore.
Chapman, any final thoughts?
Ask questions. I may not have any answers.
God damn
And
it.
why?
I regret every time you speak.
And why?
I regret it heavily.
Can you? Why do the jerseys come sweaty from Sportera?
That's a very good
That's what I want to know.
question.
They're just broken in. They're broken in. They're
Nice
pre-sweated.
and sweaty.
They're pre-sweated. I want to say that at the new stadium, Stade de Montréal, basically anyone who's playing at that field needs to know that you can't bring your bag to the field. They have a strict policy that way. Just like the police have a strict policy with you not drinking in your car.
Wait, what?
Exactly. You should know that.
Since when?
Since this whole time called always.
It's not true.
The other thing is that so they're being very hardcore about this. They want us not to bring bags to the field. So bring locks. There's a lock room where you'll be assigned a space where you can change and leave your bag. So make sure you bring locks. And if you're looking for a lock, you can go to pharmacy or hit up Jeff Rosenblatt, who apparently sells these elite locks.
Keyboard
They're
lock.
elite.
But to be honest, like,
Absolutely.
we don't bring your bag to the gym. Don't bring your bag to the field. Simple.
Change in your car.
Take care of your sack.
I'm ready. Take care of your sack.
Thank you, everyone. This has been the first episode of Sideline Stories. Tune in week 3. Week 3. We'll have a second episode then. Until then,
every week.
thank you all for letting me be myself.